Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 132. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I am one of your hosts, Todd Oxtra from Survived Vegas. My son has now been accepted to the University of Minnesota, and I got a promotion. So I'm on a high, gents. I am so excited to be here. Wow. I don't even know what to say. It's been the summer of Todd in winter. So everybody else is having bad luck, but except for me for some reason. So hopefully there's no monkey paw involved in this. But I am joined with Mark, the Canadian Caravan, who is essentially the snow is taller than me where he lives.
Yeah. We have had the worst. I think they're saying like we still don't have exact numbers of like full snowfall, but it seems like somewhere just a little around 5 feet of snow in some places. There were certainly 5-foot drifts by me. Like my vehicle was buried. Like I drive a Ford Escape. It's, decently sized SUV, and it was just pretty much up to the roof. Like insane. I have been shoveling for 3 days and I'm still not quite out of my driveway. So,
are you so either living in an ice world in a video game, or Captain Cold
it's hot.
has decided to taunt you, or the Weather Wizard? I'm not sure which one it is. So
I've not seen this kind of snow ever in my life. Like it is just crazy. Apparently it's beaten a record from like 1917 or some craziness like that. I usually like it where I live. The winters are usually fairly mild. We just got a full winter in a weekend. So not the best, but luckily our power's held out. We have lots of food. We've been pretty comfy and playing a lot of Super Mario Brothers.
Fantastic. And I'll tell you, in Minnesota, we've had 2 inches of snow all winter long, and it was like 42 degrees today. Don't know what's going on. The world is crazy, which is not good for other parts of the world because they're probably going to be like in a crisp. But with that, we are joined by someone who has not been on this podcast in over 4 years. That's Mr. Lohr, the insipid ghost from the XCP podcast, and an interviewer that I think most people would say is probably one of the best independent interviewers in the video game industry. Mr. Lohr, how are you doing?
Oh, yeah. I'm doing fantastic. I'm honored to be here. Todd, it's one of those things, like you said 4 years. I'm like, really? That blows my mind. Because I feel like we interact often. And then even a month or so ago, I was like, why haven't I heard from Todd lately? And then it was like, oh, Discord wasn't connecting with us. And so that's been really nice to kind of, I guess, reconnect, because Twitter's algorithm now is gone. So I don't see my friends on there. Like, I know I follow my friends. I just don't see them on my timelines. And so sometimes these mix-ups happen, but I'm honored to be here. I appreciate the kind words. I really enjoy the craft of interviewing, and sometimes I get it right, sometimes not, but I really enjoy it. So I appreciate when anybody listens, regardless of indie, AAA, whatever.
Very, very cool. I could probably use some of your pointers because I'm looking to do some interviews very soon from all different types. And I think, Luke, I might be having you on a podcast very soon, hopefully, to talk about Babylon 5.
Yes. I love Babylon 5. Yep. I still, Todd, I told you a while back I was going to do a rewatch. I still can't, like the last episode of B5. Every time I cry like a baby, and I don't cry often. I'm not a regular emoter in that sense, and I just can't do it. Sheridan's passing is just it gets me. So.
Oh, spoilers! Oh,
they say, don't worry. It's the very first thing they say when you meet Sheridan. It's like, well, he's gonna go.
I know. I'm just kidding, but and that's a good transition. So we're actually going to now talk about the people that make our podcast possible. Mark, who are those people?
Well, those are people that have headed over to patreon.com/secretfriendsunite, where you can go for a free 7-day trial and check out all the cool bonus stuff over there, as well as ad-free versions of this and all of our other podcasts. And you can join people like John Sedorf, the Phoenix Sisters Cosplay, Brennan Myers, Matthew Keel, Corey in HD, and the BFF tier, including Sean, Stella, and Henry Nias, and Missy Merchant.
Yes. And one of the reasons I mentioned Lohr on doing Babylon 5, I'm going to be transitioning our fansplaining podcast, so I've done a couple of, into just a holistic interview special topic called the Spotlight. Secret Friends Unite Spotlight or Secret Friends Spotlight. I'm just waiting on the AI to give me a good logo for that. After failure many times, I'll work with Mark on that. But that's going to be the purpose, and that's going to be a Patreon exclusive, and those will obviously come out later to everyone, but that's going to be a lot of fun. So more to come on Spotlight, and look for Luke on that, and especially for those folks like Mark who probably don't know much about Babylon 5. So I think it'll be a good learning opportunity and find out why people truly love that show. So with that, now it's something. Now I think we're all going to learn a little bit something about our buy, rent, return this month or this week, which is infamous handhelds. So we all know about the good handhelds. We don't talk about the bad ones very often. And so that's what made me think about, because our special topic this week will be, the future with handhelds, because it's really changed. Handhelds were supposed to go away, and it was supposed to be all phones, and the world's a little bit different place now. But with that, I think we have to look at our past to figure out what's going to happen in the future. Maybe some of these devices I'm going to talk about will be used and innovate for Nintendo or whoever else is going to make the next great handheld. And these devices are the TigerGame.com. So this is when we're talking early 90s, when the internet was just a twinkle in someone's eyes. So putting .com on anything seemed cool and really, really advanced. And the Game.com device by Tiger, which probably from those old little handhelds, they had like 3 frames per second. Power Rangers, X-Men, everyone had one. They weren't very good. But they made this device. It was still in black and white, a little bit more, I would say it's a little bit better than the Game Boy black and white color, probably a little bit better quality in regards to maybe a little bit better than 8-bit. But it had a touch screen, apparently, that didn't work very well. It was connected to the internet, and I don't know what you would do on it. And it took cartridges. And I will, in the links, I'll put trailers to each one of these, because the commercial is fantastic. It's highly offensive, especially making fun of little people. Very weird. The Nokia N-Gage. This is the famous device by Nokia, famous for a dedicated handheld phone, which took cartridges. To talk to people, you had to hold it on the side. So they used to call it the talking version. And they made their own games for this. You had publishers making unique games for this, so it was very unique. I would love to see what some of these games really looked like. But to put in the cartridges, you had to take out the phone battery. Great design concept. Love it. And they did recreate this device in another model, but they made it so it talked like a regular phone. I think it was the Engage G. And then lastly, the Tiger R-Zone Super Screen. This is also tied up with the Tiger R-Zone. R-Zone was like the Dragon Ball Z headset to a Tiger device, where basically it showed the screen on this little visor you put to your eye. Well, they said, that's not good enough. We need this super screen, which is essentially the same device, which you could use with the headset if you wanted to, but it was essentially a Game Boy magnifier that made it a huge screen, but it was also a handheld. So this thing weighed probably too much, probably highly uncomfortable, and the games were really bad. So with that, you've had my description, you've watched some of the videos. So Luke, since you're our guest, which one would you buy, which one would you rent, and which one would you return?
Oh, this could not be easier. I'm absolutely buying the N-Gage. Absolutely buying the N-Gage. It had so many cool, like the games felt or looked and seemed very cool at the time, right? There was a color screen. I'm looking at kind of like one of the top 35 best N-Gage games right here. There's a lot of cool names that that are in there. I'm in there for the N-Gage. Plus, it's a phone. So at the time when you were playing Snake on a phone, that's really, really beyond a gimmick. That's just cool enough that a nerd like myself would be in there for it. I think I'd have to rent the TigerGame.com. I'd rent that one. I'd check that one out. I like that special games would be designed for it. See some of the cool art that they do with those pixels. And the Tiger R-Zone, I would desperately want, and immediately think, oh, this needs to go back. So that's getting returned. Like, it looks so cool. Hook it up. Let's go. It's what I want VR to be, where it's a simple, light go. And then I'd be like, no, thank you. Yeah. So, yeah, buying the N-Gage, renting the tigergame.com, and then returning the Tiger R Zone.
And by the way, to your point, that screen for the R Zone was like the Virtual Boy screen. It was red and black for some reason. And they were showing like Virtua Cop, like a shooter, like a light gun shooter. I'm like, how does that even work?
Fantastic.
Yeah. Mark, okay, you heard Luke's methodology in this. What are yours?
Copy paste, 100%. Buying the N-Gage for the same kind of reasons. Like, I could get behind I remember like looking at this and being like, that's a cool kind of concept. And you're still seeing this kind of stuff, because as much as they've had just touchscreens in games and bigger screens and all this kind of stuff, you still see a desire for physical buttons for a gaming device phone. And that's why Backbone and all those other kind of things exist. So you're still seeing companies trying to perfect this design, maybe not with, obviously you have to stumble a little bit to get there. So maybe not with removable batteries and cartridges and all that kind of other shenanigans that these guys got really wrong. But as a cool piece of like evolutionary tech, whereas like if you study like fossils and stuff like that, every once in a while you see a fossil that it's a shark with like a loop-de-loop jaw. And it's like, what were you thinking, evolution? Why did you do that? Sharks are perfect. Why this weird little misstep? And like this is that imperfect shark, before they kind of keep figuring things out. So I'm copying your buy for that one. The rent, same deal. Tigergame.com. Specific games, Game Boy level kind of quality and that kind of stuff. It seems a little bit more interesting. To be completely fair, the N-Gage is the only one I've ever heard of. So I had to look up the other two. I don't know. There could be something about the R Zone super screen that's like super engaging that I didn't get from like reading a Wikipedia and watching the trailers that you sent. I don't know. I'm curious to see if anyone in our Discord group or anything like that has played these, has experienced it. Like, they could change my mind very quickly, but the game.com on initial look spoke to me a little bit more. And the Tiger R Zone, I think, is hilarious because we're still working for that. We see the Apple Vision Pro released last week. That's still, you can't get that. Like, everyone wants that like Meta Quest Ray-Bans, like that size glasses, but with the Vision Pro capabilities. Like, that's what we still want. We still want to have normal looking glasses that can just, superimpose things on their world or take us directly into VR when we want to. We still don't have that. So like seeing that come back from the 90s and imagining how terrible that must have been, instant return, but I love the attempt. It's so much fun. So that the rent and return maybe could flip-flop. I want to be convinced one way or the other, but for right now, I'm copying Luke. How are you feeling, Todd?
I hate to be a copycat because you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't know if I could come up with probably some goofy like justification like I usually do, Mark. But in this case, I don't think I can because, I had to live through these horrible like devices that were kind of like, well, I got you this for your birthday. Isn't that good, son? I mean, I had a Pac-Man watch back in the day where you could play Pac-Man on it. And it was essentially the same tech as the Target R Zone, except I could wear it on my wrist. And even the game, remember the Nintendo Game & Watch? That technology looked a lot better what was in the Tiger R Zone, which this is like 10 years later than that. So it's just like, oh God, $10 device. And actually, if you're curious, I think Target actually carries it. And sorry, Mark, but they carry the original X-Men version. Like they brought it back in all of its crapulence, like in modern, and it's like $15
Interesting.
Yes, I'll have to look it up, but it's back. I think it's because that the X-Men 97 cartoon is going to be out, and the X-Men nostalgia.
Still having Target.
That's true, Mark. So I'm going to go with Nokia Engage because at the time, mobile gaming sucked. I mean, your flip phone was horrible. I mean, I think I had a God of War game that I bought for some reason, and it wasn't very good. I thought it was pretty good for, toilet time.
Mobile gaming didn't suck. These mobile gaming sucked.
Oh, true. Yes, true. Yes. It was the devices were a big limitation. Snake
Dance was the jam, dude.
Yeah, that's true. Mobile like phone games were there was. I mean, I don't even know how we like bought games. I remember like downloads like ringtones. That was a sketchy market for like ringtones. Like, oh, here's what is it? The one frog song. There was commercials for it. You could download
like Crazy Frog.
Yes, it was like all these commercials for like ringtones back in the day, kids.
Axel Foley theme song.
Oh yeah, it was bad. So and Nokia Engage, I think for what it was, and they made the Gen 2 got it right, made it far easier. You had cartridge directly in there. So I think Nokia is kind of still alive, but being a pioneer in that space, I give them kudos, and it was a phone, so it's what we wanted in the future. TigerGame.com. It is interesting that they went with, the black and white screen, but it could connect to the internet, had a touch screen. And considering what they went with the R Zone, I mean, that was only a couple of years prior. That's a huge jump forward. So I'll give them credits for that too. Like, hey, you're trying, but this would be like the device that, you wanted a Game Boy, you got this. And then it was like, oh, it's like me getting the Atari 5200 and then I had to wait to get the NES.
But like all failed technologies, you see the DNA of what we now have. Like the easy example to point to in this era is the Xbox One. Everything that they got crucified for is standard across the board. Deservedly crucified. Messaging is everything, but standard. You look at these connecting to the internet, color back screens, phone integration. All of this there is something we have. The R Zone.
Dreamcast.
Dreamcast, yes, having the modem in there. Oh, God, I love the Dreamcast. I miss that era most. I'm just derailing. I'm so sorry. But I miss that era because there were just so many games across so many genres, and you could just discover gems. We no longer have that luxury by way of coverage and just the way we distribute, but gems. Just to see a cover in a store and be like, I don't know what that is. Take it home, try it out. Suddenly you're playing Red Dog, and it's cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And even the VMU for the Dreamcast, which is that probably had better graphics than the Tiger R Zone as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Then the Tiger R Zone, I think that's going to give you like seizures or something. It's not good. The red screen, it's way too heavy. So carpal tunnel syndrome. And it takes 4D batteries. 4D batteries.
Oh, so you can use that as a weapon. See, I thought Nokia Engage would be the weapon of choice here. Because Nokia, but okay. So the super screen's got zombie apocalypse dual action.
Yeah, you just throw that at somebody, they're dead.
Yeah,
the batteries. I mean, you lick them. If you need a high or something like that when they're done, that'll only cost you a small fortune. And whoever has D batteries in their house, I bet could ask all of you. Do you have D batteries in your house right now?
Yes.
No, I don't even remember which one D batteries are.
It's the biggest of the portable battery.
Gotcha.
The round, long,
big
weighs probably like half a pound. Yeah, fun times. But we had some members of the community who gave us their choices. So I'll start with Edward Varnell. He says, Edward Varnell is the bizarro of the video game world. He says, buy tigergame.com, rent Tiger R Zone, and return the Nokia.
Edward, we need to talk.
Edward.
I need to know why. No reasoning. He just gave that list. So Edward, DM me, bud. I need reasonings here.
Good luck with that, Mark. That'll go well. I think a Silent Hill plot is based on the conversation you're about to have with Edward. Mark, do you want to give what Brendan Myers, the Winter Gamer, said?
Yes. He said, interesting. Buy Nokia even because even if it's not great games, I know I would use it as an indestructible weapon if needed. See, I was thinking the same kind of like weapon. You get the Nokia, yeah, I'm wondering about that super screen now. Rent Tiger R Zone because I've never played it, and return thetigergame.com. Presuming that means that he has played it and it sucked. Brennan Myers, same kind of deal. You have not played the Tiger Arizona. Have you played the game, the Tiger game?
Sounds like he did
on this one. Sounds like he did. So I'm very curious. Maybe Brennan or Edward are going to be the two that convince me one way or the other if my listing was correct. So both, feel free. DM, drop some conversation stuff in Discord. I want to know. I want to dig deeper into this.
Maybe there are only 2 people that ever had these things. So please, if you have them, show us.
Diamonds in the rough.
I want to see your collection. Right, that'd be fantastic. And then if there's bodies in your closet. Oh, well, let's get into what we've been gaming. So, Luke, you've been in a glass case of emotion the last week. You're not a happy guy. We haven't talked in a while because you were our go-to DC guy, and you've kind of decided to just abandon me on my ledge where I'm at. So, we're here for you, man. So Thanks. You want to? I mean, there's a couch over there. Have a seat. We'll take notes, and then we'll prescribe something for you.
Well, I think it's no secret to anyone anywhere that being a DC fan has been a tumultuous ride. Whether you are in the TV space, whether you're in the movie space, the gaming space, you're never quite sure what you're gonna get. You know, for every Wonder Woman 1984, you might get the Batman, right? For every fan like myself who really enjoys Zack Snyder's Justice League, there are those who are just ready for that hopeful optimism. Sometimes that optimism looks like Superman and Lois, which is a great show. Sometimes it goes on too long, like the CW Arrowverse, you know, and it's just really hard to be a DC fan. And DC was the standard for so long. And my favorite, and this is for anyone that's unfamiliar with me, my favorite franchise of all time is the Arkham franchise. My favorite game of all time is Arkham Knight. I love the Arkham games. I have all the statues except for Arkham Origins, which I would like to one day get. You can kind of see the Batarang there. There's Arkham Knight. Somewhere in there is the Arkham City. It's all dark. I even brought over my Gotham Knight statue because I think I'm one of the certainly fewer than they were hoping fans of Gotham Knights. I actually really enjoyed Gotham Knights. I wrote a review on it for Season Gaming and referenced it in my Suicide Squad review. So I say all that so that any listener knows that I come to Suicide Squad with context and with baggage. And that is an important thing to note for anyone that's interested in Suicide Squad. If you're arriving with Arkhamverse baggage, then you're going to have a very different experience than someone who just wants an action shooter, who is just interested in seeing the Suicide Squad in play. Maybe you like James Gunn version or what was kind of David Ayer's version. Whatever it is, or the great animated versions, Suicide Squad brings a dichotomy that clashes against itself. And I am very torn. It has been an emotional roller coaster. I have put 30 plus hours in at this point, which is extremely high for someone who has been so beaten by it. And I'm aware of that. But as a diehard DC fan, it's very odd. So I'll make 1 or 2 more points, and then feel free to ask me questions about it as needed. I will say that I find the campaign and the story abhorrent, and I really hated it. With the baggage of being an Arkham diehard, I feel that the writing here is extremely inconsistent. And that inconsistency does great disrespect to the Arkhamverse characters. It's immaculately acted. The voice acting is incredible. The animations are stellar. It looks beautiful, start to finish. There's so much to enjoy in that, but the writing is confusing at times. And I will tell you, once I was done with the campaign, once I was done killing the Justice League, as the title states, and I got to just play the characters in loop fighting Brainiac's monsters, I really enjoyed it. But then you have an Avengers problem where you just fight robots.
Yeah.
But so ask me whatever you like, and I'll be glad to elaborate as needed. And no questions.
All right.
I can keep going.
Mark, you go ahead, Mark. If
for me,
I played the beta, so you have not. So
yeah, I haven't touched this game. But I've been hesitant on it since the first time I saw it because of two things that you kind of brought up. The Arkham games are some of my absolute favorite games ever, and and Batman, one of my favorite characters ever. So seeing this, and then also having the baggage from Avengers. I love the Avengers. I even have like the Captain America Avengers statue is still behind me, even though that game wasn't great. But having those two experiences and the Arkham series being so high and then Avengers being so mid to low, I looked at this game and I thought, I've been hurt before, and I hold Arkham in such high regard that I don't know if I want to be hurt again, because it gave off those exact kind of vibes that you're saying. Do you think this could have been better if they didn't tie it to the Arkham series? Like, if they had just said, like, this isn't Elseworlds, this is whatever, this is, completely separate from anything, because they did tie it to those games. So you have that expectation going in. Is there a version of this, whether it's the story tying in or the studio that made the game and the people behind it, is there a version of this at all that you can detach yourself from all of that lineage? Or would it have had to have been, this is an Elseworld story and it's not developed by the same people who made those amazing, immaculate, perfect games?
It's funny you even asked that, because this at one point was WB Montreal's project, and Gotham Knights was Rocksteady's project. Wow. And this was years ago, right? I don't know how much carried over back and forth, but Gotham Knights is a better successor in terms of gameplay and story, I feel, even though they're not connected, to the Arkhamverse, because in the sense that, like, Batman is dead in Gotham Knights, killed in the very first opening, and then the team is left to figure it out. And the wonderful ending of Arkham Knight, which I really urge any DC fan to go play, really has a wonderful nebulous experience, but it puts Bruce Wayne and Batman to rest. In whatever way you interpret the ending, that is an ending, definitively. And the opening moments of Suicide Squad's campaign brilliantly recap the Arkham trilogy in the best way. Like, it's just the coolest. I'm telling you, it's amazing. It is Rocksteady at their peak.
That's a cool moment, and it was in the alpha, and I'm like, this is really cool. So it gave me a lot of false hope, apparently.
That's exactly what it does to you. It's just it's the peak of Rocksteady, and you can see where the game was going. And then the very end of that experience, they explain what happened with Arkham Knight and completely undoes this quadrilogy of games you've gone on. That may offend you, may not. That'll depend on how invested you were into your version of that ending. Like, in Dark Knight Rises, did Bruce die? Did he not? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
That's really, there's kind of that element. So after that moment, that detachment, you're not sure what to expect in writing. And it does give you a false sense, because you get that trademark Rocksteady writing for a bit, and then it gradually rolls off, and you feel like there's two writing teams at two different stages of development butting into one another. There is a story moment that I'd like to share. It is a minor spoiler, but it's in everything that I've seen. It has to do with the passing of the Flash. It's in the title, Kill the Justice. Can I share that moment?
Sure. How long do you think you need, Luke? Because we can tell people to, like, is it a minute enough?
30 seconds. A minute. Let's do a minute to be safe, just in case.
Okay. So, folks, starting now, come back in a minute.
So the Flash is killed by the Suicide Squad. And the problem with killing any of the heroes is that they're corrupted by Brainiac, but they get no moments of redemption, no battle through the evil type moment where you get to see them and they're like, do this, get rid of me. Flash is the closest that comes when Diana's lasso is on him. But you kill the Flash in an abhorrently boring boss fight, and then Boomerang goes over and pisses on him. And like, he used that's his terminology and everything else. And Deadshot's like, show some respect, and then everybody looks down at his equipment and says, well, congratulations, it's big. And it's just like, wait, what? It's in such defiance of the tone that they set 10 seconds earlier. If the tone had been that the whole game, or even that whole fight, cool. But it juxtaposed something that was very serious. And it's just like, what? And then the dispatching of another hero by Harley Quinn is equally egregious. And it's just,
is there a fart joke or a fart involved in a lot of this, or no?
I don't think so.
Darn.
I don't think so. But the problem is it can't figure out whether it wants to be funny and offensive or serious. And these heroes who are gods in the DC universe, they are special, they are unique, and they matter to even the villains, because Boomerang's entire thing is how much he hates the Flash. As much as it matters to I'm no longer spoiling, by the way, as much as he cares about and hates the Flash, it's almost like, all right, next. And these heroes that don't get their moments to shine through and demonstrate a character struggle and put these anti-heroes in anti-hero positions, very frustrating, and I think disrespectful to the legacy built by Rocksteady's own writing. And we know it's not the same team. Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker left.
Yep.
But it's just like, man.
Do you think this would have been better with a Justice League game in the Arkham series first, where it establishes those heroes and you get to see them at their prime, rather than just, here's the Suicide Squad and they're going to kill this Justice League that we've spent zero time with?
Could this have been Injustice?
This could have been a fantastic game if the Justice League weren't the villains.
Yeah.
Okay.
If the weight of having a Green Lantern or a Batman was instead, all right, you're the Suicide Squad, you got to take down this extragalactic threat. The Justice League has been captured or whatnot.
The Injustice Society, which is essentially the equivalent of the Justice League.
100% would have been better, because then you get the great traversal, you get the jokes, you get the violence, because this is a very R-rated take in a lot of ways. But you don't have the weight looming over you of what that Superman S means, or what it means to battle Batman, which is, by the way, just like all of the boss battles, lame. And that stinks. Like, these are the gods of the DC universe, and they're just boring boss fights. And so that's the problem. Now, after 10 hours of a campaign, you exit that campaign, and then you play a live service loop, just like you would in Avengers or Destiny or anything else. If you like it, you're going to have a blast. That's where I'm enjoying doing the Riddler challenges and whatnot. Fine. It's every time it tries to be a story and it clashes with the looter shooter live service. Breaking those is the problem.
It took them 9 years to do this, essentially. Call it 9, 8, whatever. And to think and someone called this out. They saw it like, wasted opportunity, because, depending on the impact to the Rocksteady team, because of this, if apparently it's doing worse than Guardians of the Galaxy game, which is not great, because that game was wonderful but underperformed. And then you think, well, are there going to be mass layoffs? And then how long will it take them to do something that maybe resonates with fans? It's like, wow, that could be another 6-7 years where people are going to be wary of Rocksteady. So they lost a lot of goodwill with this, which is a shame. And WB's not a great company right now. I mean, Warner Brother Discovery, they may be sold off, and that's a bad situation. So I would love to see someone, hopefully, that loves games or do something in a positive manner. I don't know. Is Apple looking to buy somebody?
I will tell you this. Such an easy fix, and easy is with quotation marks, because obviously game development is effort, but easy in terms of scope development would be to take this open world metropolis that is beautifully crafted, but the traversal type means you skip over any personality. You just jump past it, which stinks. You use this open world metropolis, you examine the flight mechanics that you gave Deadshot, and you do what you can to apply this to a Superman game. Limit the scope, 10-hour campaign. Then if you want to have replayability or whatnot, sure. But you could be Superman battling Brainiac or have a Superman prequel in this universe. Give us a reason to care. That way your Metropolis isn't wasted. You can kind of bring people to Suicide Squad because Suicide Squad has 4 seasons of content on the way. We know about the Joker. It's very Mr. Freeze is coming, but it's all Elseworlds. Everything's Elseworlds. It's all shared and leaked by them, which is very strange. That is one more comment. The Elseworlds approach is, I think, at this point, lazy across all of comic books. We're seeing it too often, too many places. Yes, it's dope when I get to have Peter Parker, and Peter Parker. That was amazing to me. Yes, it's amazing that we could see the Flash do something, but then it's ruined and when it was, I think, an egregious Flash movie, and it, again, disrespected the legacy of characters. And then to see it happen in the Arkhamverse, where I don't know that Arkham was ever grounded, given all of the fantastical elements, but it was hard to imagine portals opening to new dimensions, right? That
grittier, for sure.
Yeah. Like you were closer to Nolan than you were Joss Whedon, right? Yeah. So it feels a little out of place. But so a Superman game or using that Metropolis in some single player endeavor might recoup resources on some level and keep them in a 4-year, 3-year timeline. But I don't know anything. I just hope for it.
Do you think
that's all you can do?
Do you think this and Avengers is finally going to be the nail in the coffin for like games as service, looter, shooter, superhero games? Like, are we finally like, do you think this will make them give up? Because that, like, we've just talked about a couple of different franchises, like Avengers tanked, and it got eventually shut down. You mentioned Guardians of the Galaxy, which I think tanked largely because of Avengers. Mm-hmm. And now we have this being absolutely panned, ripped apart. Like, do you think this is finally the end? Like, it sucks that it had to be this way, but like, do you think this is the wake up call that those execs that are like, yeah, we need this looter shooter, continuous loop play, constant live service? Like, are we done being forced? Because it sounds like, despite some weird choices in a story, like maybe there could have been something here. I don't know. Like,
I hope after Hogwarts Legacy, they realize the potential of a solid single player, or even if it's just a co-op where you could partner with your friend, do fun things in an IP that people love. I hope that was the shining light to say, and look, that was the number one game of last year on a franchise that was a little bit tarnished because of, a
little bit
creator and things like that. Yeah. In the past movies. So I'm hoping I've heard the only positive thing I've heard right now from WB is they are not going to make the Wonder Woman game a live service game. So, and Monolith, or is it Monolith Games? I know it's not Monolith Soft. I love the Mortar games. So I'm hoping they've learned and just take that feedback and give us an awesome Wonder Woman game. And maybe we get some cameos that redeem some characters.
It needs to be the nail in the coffin because Avengers made a lot of mistakes and was stuck in a generational transition. The hardware, the game ran fantastic on Series X and S, and PS5. But, and then the big but here is that Rocksteady created an almost bug-free experience of extreme quality. Like, there is polish galore, and it still doesn't work. But it doesn't work because of bad writing. And do people want to do this? Right. And clearly, based on the numbers on Steam are not a fair metric, but they are a metric, and they are one to go by next to box sales. And box sales are diminishing also. Like, I wouldn't buy a box version of Suicide Squad. It's a live service game. But it has, like, next to Todd's point about Hogwarts Legacy, I don't know how you pitch a live service superhero game in 2024, 2025. Like, what brand could do it? The Avengers couldn't do it.
Yeah.
DC couldn't do it with Suicide Squad. The Justice League, who are they going to fight? Brainiac's Taken. Like, I don't know what the deal is. And it doesn't need to be. Like, Spider-Man is selling how much, right? Like, if I could preach to any executive anywhere, it'd be like, you listen to your fans and make quality single experiences. People will play them. So
yeah, leave my X-Men alone. We've got Wolverine coming.
Unless it's Legends. Legends is coming.
Well, please, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 only on Switch. So silly. Such an odd decision to make.
Nintendo paid for that. That's why. Well, I interview them.
Why didn't Xbox pay for that? I mean, come on. Easy money. Oh, well.
It hurts. Well, Luke, it all hurts.
we are here for you in your time of mourning. I was going to put on, it's on my Gamefly queue. Once again, I'm just probably going to wait because I'm not, with so many great games coming right now, I think this game is going to be quickly forgotten, which is just, going to add to the pain.
If you see it for $40 or less in this economy, this market, you're okay to get it. I think you'll get your money's worth. I wouldn't go above that. And I do like their roadmap. Who knows? Maybe their Joker plays fun, but I can't see playing. Like, if I paid $100, DC superfan. I wanted to play in the Justice League skins. I wanted to have content, and if you're not a super fan, you're not happy.
Give it 6 months, it'll be on some gaming service, I bet.
I was just going to say, like, do you see a resurgence maybe with like a Game Pass edition in 6 months or something? Or is that like just no?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Won't matter.
I got it.
We'll see how that works out. Okay, let's go on to something hopefully more positive, and that would be Mark.
Yeah. I talked about it in my the last episode. My son is still absolutely obsessed with Mario games. We've been going through everything on Switch from Mario Kart. Odyssey is his newest addiction. He calls it Super Mario Hats. I think that's adorable. So I've been kind of walking him through and putting it on guided assist mode, and he's following the arrows all around the place, and it's great to watch him. And he, throws me the controller when he gets stuck at something that I have to do. So it's great. We played Super Mario Brothers Wii Deluxe or whatever the hell that one stupid name is. That one's not as fun with a 3-year-old. Especially after playing Wonder, because Wonder you can do. There's a bunch of assist things, and in this one you jump on each other's heads or constantly throw each other into things, and it's just
that's the game fun. That will want you to kill your children. Really?
Yeah.
I remember doing that with Logan back in the day. And they added resentment.
Something. Yeah, for sure. So, but it's been great. The whole thing, everything's been great. We even played some Super Mario World, my favorite in the franchise, especially as far as like 2D is concerned. So like it's been a great little bit and really helped being stuck in the house for the last few days, being able to play those games and jump in for an hour or two, or whatever. I try to kind of still limit the screen time and everything, but it's really fun, and it's been helping because it would go outside, but it's storming and gross. So
you would lose Finn. You'd never see him again.
Basically, yeah. It's been dangerous. So there we go. So that's been fun. But aside from that, the only other real new gaming experience I've had is Gamepass cloud gaming in VR. Finally, I hadn't powered up my Quest 2 for that purpose. I kind of forgot that it existed on there, and I finally jumped in. The only game I got to play was Fortnite, and I jumped into that one because I knew the experience so well, and I wanted to kind of test it, because cloud gaming, a lot of times it's great for like a single player game or something a little slower. I wanted to see how it held up in Fortnite and what a Quest 2 could do. Very, very interesting on the Quest 2. You can put it in pass-through mode, which is black and white on the Quest 2, but I could see my wife next to me on the couch playing Hogwarts Legacy on the Xbox. So it works if someone's playing your Xbox. It's not remote play. This is Game Pass streaming. But basically what it does is just parks a massive, massive screen, kind of too big. I need to learn how to readjust, because I think you can adjust the screen. But when I had to like
looking behind your shoulder,
my head, it was like physically turning my head and kind of like crazy immersion, but like not what you want for like something twitchy like
too Fortnite. Much field of view.
Yeah. But such a cool experience. And then when you go back and tap out of pass-through mode, you're in this very cool, like, almost like Space Needle, like 360 degree Xbox room kind of thing, which is very simple aesthetically, but like very Xbox at the same time. You're sitting or standing on a giant Xbox logo, and there's space out all of the 360 degree windows. It's very cool. And
you might have played the future of Xbox.
Yeah, really. And I think that's
the Quest pairs pretty easily with the Xbox controller.
Instant pairing, yeah, it's super simple to just. I grabbed one of my Series X controllers, I double tap the top or whatever to switch back and forth between Bluetooth and Xbox, and it's seamless, super easy to set up, really quick and snappy. Everything was, no complaints. It took me a second to get into the game. It took I think it was like an 8-minute countdown, and I just kind of sat there like. That, and that's how I figured out the pass-through mode thing, because I tapped in, double tap the side of Quest 2 to talk with my wife. I was like, it's going to be 8 minutes. Holy shit, the screen's still there, because I didn't expect that to remain in my living room. It was kind of
mac and cheese while you're waiting. I mean,
really, I'd love to see this with the Quest 3, with full color pass-through and actually being floating in a living room and kind of have it properly set up. Grainy, black and white, not the best experience. I ended up going back in for the full immersion when I was actually playing Fortnite. But it was cool to be able to tap out, still see the screen, still see the countdown, but also be able to look at my wife and just be like, how's Hogwarts going? Your TV is now behind my massive screen. It's really cool. So great experience. I was very impressed. I was really happy. It's a valid alternative for someone. I could picture if you're, again, like me, someone has the TV, or you're in a dorm room or somewhere where you want a massive 100-inch screen in front of you, and it looked good, right? And again, this is on a Quest 2. Quest 3 is going to look better, and it's just going to keep improving as the tech improves. So really cool experience.
Yeah, I still have this weird thought that Xbox will further partner with Meta and do what they did with PC and Steam, where essentially it just streams from your hardcore device. Xbox has really good wireless, could do that, and just imagine they could do, and there's some tweaks I've heard about automatically making games that are not meant to be VR. And I think there is a win-win there with that partnership, which would differentiate it at it cheap and easy with the wireless headset. I don't know. I'm just still probably foolish, but I still think there's something there with Facebook or Meta, and because they have a relationship, they have Gamepass. I just think there's something more that goes a step further and be like, yeah, you could have your PSVR 2. It's really expensive, but why not get the device you already use, play it there? Great experiences. It's cheap.
Yeah. Really, all they need to do to add to this, in my opinion, right now, is remote play. So it's not just your Game Pass games. If I could play anything, remote streaming, and then that eliminates what happened yesterday. Is my wife's playing something on the Xbox and I'm playing something in VR, but because it was Game Pass streaming, it didn't affect her. But I think remote play would. So. Aside from that, that would be the only thing I'd add immediately to this, but super cool tech demo. And it is still in beta, so I was impressed.
It'd be neat if they took advantage of Fireteam Raven, the arcade game, as perhaps the phrase isn't console exclusive, but that would fit wonderfully into that ecosystem, giving people an incentive to examine that partnership and thus Game Pass. There are opportunities there. They also have the old, they did this with Halo 5, but it was this Pelican demo where it was a full VR experience, but a modified variant of that might be something interesting to explore. I think there's just ways they could incentivize people that are in their fandom. Now, the question becomes, is Xbox the brand to get people interested? Because PSVR hasn't gotten a ton of support. To Todd's point, if somebody else is doing the hardware, would they bother investing? Should they bother investing? And I mean, even with the rumors now that are in many ways, we know that some of their properties are going to go into other places. Is this a place that you would want them to be based on your experience?
Absolutely. Yeah. Just as, and again, they don't necessarily with this option have to do VR specific stuff. This is just another screen for Game Pass, another screen for Xbox games. Mm-hmm. No extra effort needed. It would be cool. I'd love to see some Xbox, some VR titles, or if you hook it up to VR, if you're streaming on VR, whatever, there's something extra in there. Great. That would be amazing. But as it stands, I think they should keep pushing it because it's just another screen, whether you're on your phone, your tablet, your computer, your whatever. If it can stream Game Pass games, Xbox games, I think that's a win. And this was a win for me. I didn't need any more immersion than a massive curved 100-inch screen floating in front of me and seamless hookup to my Xbox controller. That was enough for me to be like, this is flipping cool. I'm going to travel with this. Like that is, that it is a great experience. If I was still doing university recruitment, going from hotel to hotel, this would be coming with me as both a VR platform and as my Xbox game streaming service of choice. I'd take the Quest, I'd take a controller, and as long as I have hotel Wi-Fi, I'd be happy. Like anything extra is just cherries on top. But like Game Pass is great. The cloud streaming was flawless. I competed in Fortnite. I didn't come first, but like I was top 10 and it was a good experience.
And
shout out to, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
This is so not a point, but it's a point that I appreciate. Like, shout out to Fortnite, by the way, doing something that I wish all shooters would do, which is have more bot matches. I don't care. I'm not offended. I love when I jump in and I'm beating teams, and I'm well aware that some of them are bots, and I'm like, it's okay. I'm having fun. Yeah. Like, if Halo would do that, if we could get COD to do that, if any of my experiences that my 38-year-old self could just beat up on some bots, I'm fine with it. I just want to play the game and not get wrecked.
Yeah. And it was my Fortnite experience. I was playing as my Leonardo skin. I had all my stuff in there. Yeah. It was great. Like it was perfect, right? It was just a great experience. Yeah, honestly. Like it was really cool.
Yeah, I know it'd say even Hellblade, the first Hellblade, is they have a VR version that is in my Steam account right now. And so it's like, oh, put it on Xbox and stream it, and then you're good to go. So I think
there's got to be some marker in there that like just upload that to Game Pass. If you're playing on Quest, this is the version that you can pick. Like
exactly.
That can't be.
Who knows?
I mean, I know, like Luke said before, like game development and all this kind of stuff that we say, like, hey, that's easy. Just upload the Hellblade VR version to Game Pass on Quest. That's not difficult. Like, I'm sure there's some extra shit that has to go into it, but like, seems worth the investment for me.
Somebody has already done a patch. I was listening to DLC where they talked about Jeff Kanna is a huge VR fan. They have made a very simplified program. Somebody just did it on the fly that converts regular games to VR mode, even if it's not like VR like that, but you're playing like you're in VR with like the original Astrobot. I think that's enough for a lot of people. It feels like that's really damn cool. And I already own a Quest 2 that's $250. Give me something else to play it on, and I think that's a huge win versus $550 right now on PlayStation VR, and you can't use it anywhere else. So enough VR talk, because
sorry, that went way longer than I anticipated.
No, I love it. I unfortunately I'm still pissed off. My Quest 1 is
let's get back to Suicide Squad. Can you guys believe it?
Do that? Yes. Pissing on things and fart jokes. Who knew that was a recipe for success? But very quickly, I was traveling, so I got to do some gaming traveling. And Luke, I'm not familiar with this device, the GameSir G8. It's really damn cool. This is essentially the backbone. But
I have a backbone that I enjoy.
Yeah. And this one's very ergonomic. This is more like using your Xbox or your Pro controller because
that is appealing.
Flared out. It's wonderful. It's USB-C, so it'll work with Apple, any Android device. It's amazing. It supports PS Remote Play Direct. It supports any mobile game you have, and it also directly supports Game Pass, Xbox Remote Play. It's wonderful. $80.
What's it called? $80.
GameSir G8. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's really fantastic. It's got a headphone port at the bottom and a USB-C pass through for charging or whatever. It's wonderful. Highly recommend it. It's ergonomic, really comfortable. Find out on a plane, most mobile games don't work because even though you think you've downloaded them, they still require a connection to get you like buy more energy pills. But Netflix, because if you have a Netflix subscription, you get Netflix games that are through the App Store once you get it. So I was playing Shredder's Revenge because you get that with your Netflix subscription. And it was completely like I was playing the console version for free. And it was amazing with this device. I loved it because it was a native version playing on an airplane. It was amazing. Wonderful. They have several others like Slay the Spire. They have Death's Door just came to get Netflix gaming. And if you have a subscription, do it. It's right there. You go to Netflix, you go to the app, you like go to there, click there, it downloads it because it basically says, oh, you can now download this from the App Store, which is fantastic. It's a great option compared to like, since I have an Android device versus like the App Store game arcade, which is awesome too, but this is free with my subscription. Highly recommend it with any device, Backbone, whatever. I loved it. It was great. Wonderful time. So Shredder's Revenge, still an awesome game. And by the way, it's not just the base game, it's the game with Yoshi. It's the game with the DLC for free.
Oh, nice.
So I was playing Yoshi. I've got it. The bunny ninja, the bunny samurai, Usagi Yojimbo, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Kai or the girl.
Karai.
Yes. So it's free. So I didn't even own that version on console. So I'm like, that's an extra $10 for free. So check out Netflix. They put a lot in their gaming, and I think it's great they're doing it. So highly recommend it. It's a lot like Apple Arcade. There's no like extra things you have to pay for either, like in Arcade. So I highly recommend it. Check it out if you're on Android devices and you have Netflix subscription. Free to play. So I did that. Let's see. What else did I do? I'll just get to the meat of the discussion. Because I've been playing more Prince of Persia, but that game is awesome.
Oh, so good.
So good. So good. I'm loving it. It's great. One of the best things in gaming that I think other games, especially in Metroidvania, need to incorporate is the screenshot, essentially, where it shows on the map exactly what the damn thing you can't do yet is. I love it, Mark. It's amazing. Like, so if you can't, it's a locked door, there's something you need to power up for, it just takes a screenshot. It's fantastic. I think it's cool with all Metroidvania games, but it also has markers too. So if you run out of those things, because they are limited, you can still use a screenshot like locked door or something like that. I love it. It's fantastic. Just got to a great moment in the game. I'm like, this looks like a fighting game at this point. It's amazing.
It gets a little anime.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it does. The traversal part. I'm like, I don't think I can do this. Several tries later, I did it. So it makes you feel so good about those traversal hardcore mechanics. It reminds me of like Guacamelee in a certain sense because the combat played with it. So definitely get that. The game is not doing very well apparently, which sucks. Like only 300,000 copies have sold. I'm like, what?
Everyone needs to play that game.
I was going to say, this doesn't need to be another Titanfall 2.
No, everyone should buy that game.
Exactly. I know Ubisoft is pretty bad. Get Ubisoft Plus. Play it for on Xbox. Play it for $15. Play that, Prince of Persia, whatever else Ubisoft have. Just do that. Give them money. Or don't wait till it's like $2 3 months later. That's not good for that game. I want more of these. But the game I really got into and I'm essentially done with is Tekken 8. I am a Tekken maniac. I bought a PlayStation 1, or actually I didn't buy it. I got it as a college gift from my girlfriend at the time, who's not my girlfriend now, not my wife, sorry. Long story. And my roommates, they bought me a PlayStation 1 back in 1997, which wasn't cheap at the time, like probably $250, $300, because I wanted to play Tekken 3. That, for some reason, because I played the arcade, loved it, and it was amazing to get a game of that quality that was in the arcade. I could also play at home. Love that series. I loved their approach to it, where you got all these wacky cutscenes, all these wacky people, like Gon, who was a weird manga character, little dragon that farted on people, or dinosaur who farted on people. Love that. You had all these characters I loved, and it was just amazing. And I've followed Tekken ever since, played the arcade, continue to play them. I love them. I think that they are right up there with Mortal Kombat in regards to that wacky campaign with, you can play with all the characters, and it has great cutscenes, and just the story is weird, and it gets me in. Soul Calibur, I was wishing it was going to be that. It's not. It does like hand-drawn cutscenes with like stills, just is not great. It's a great game for fighting, just doesn't do that thing. And Street Fighter 6, great game, but once again, it doesn't have that great story campaign mode. So if you want a great story campaign mode in Mortal Kombat or Injustice or that, I would say try Tekken. I loved it. I beat it to pieces. It's over the top. It's ridiculous. I was showing my son as I was playing it, and he's like, "Dad, this looks like a Dragon Ball game," because it's just like the eighth round trying to take out Kazuya with Jin, and it's like, I just destroyed him, and he's back again in his 18th form. It's so ridiculous and weird. And what I love about it is, once you finish the campaign, they added Tekken Ball mode, which is essentially Tekken volleyball, where you're playing against one player with a ball. You hit it, and it basically causes the ball to charge up and have power. And if you don't block it, it knocks you out. And then that's what the game is. It's just the goofiest thing. Tekken has also had bowling. It's had this weird like side-scrolling adventure mode. And I would say that was something interesting too. In the main game, it added almost like a 3D action adventure game where you're fighting the like mass enemies. And it was so weird. I didn't expect it. And I was just so happy when I did it. I'm like, this is kind of cool. And the cool part is they're going to bring in more characters. I believe Eddie Gorio's next. He's kind of like that Capoeira style character. Love him pieces. But after that, you can play then essentially what is every character has a cutscene story. And that's going to be my next effort on the game, which is going to be phenomenal. And it's going to be awesome because I can't wait to see what Panda is like. Kuma the bear, when his cutscene comes through, I'm sure it's going to be ridiculous and dumb. And I will love it. So
awesome.
Tekken 8. Love it. Thank you, Gamefly. Huh.
So when I played, I'm a Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat guy. Mainly, I prefer Street Fighter to the Street Fighter, Injustice, Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Somewhere way down is Tekken, and then a bunch of the Blaze Blues or whatever else, right? That's just my fighting game casual approach.
Sure.
So one of the things that I thought both Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter 6 did well was allow new players into their franchise, despite being numbered entries and pretty extensive. How approachable is Tekken if I don't like Tekken or haven't played Tekken in decades?
That's great because they do difficulty mode. So pick that first. And then they add like the Street Fighter ease of mode. You hit L1 and it adds essentially is here's your throw. Here's this mode. It made it so much easier for anyone who's lapsed. I use a fight stick. My PlayStation 4 stick actually works on the PlayStation 5, which is fantastic. And it made it super easy. When I was struggling, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do this mode. So it's very easy. It's always there. You could turn it off at any time, though. Click L1 again, it goes away. And you're back to like more hardcore combo, figure it out. Hit L1 again if you want to just like, I want it super easy and manageable. I just want to have a fun time and learn the story. So I think that's what Street Fighter did a great job with in regards to making it easier. And it's kind of like we're taking out it doesn't matter how well you can push buttons because some people are great at that. I'm not. So I like that even though I know the moves of Tekken very well, I can bring back, I'm good at it, Tekken, I would say, compared to other people, especially if you're new to the franchise because of the button combo, and I've played forever. But if you're new to Tekken, this is the perfect entry to go into because they've really made it a great entry point for new beginners. And people are basically saying this might be the best Tekken ever. So we are truly in a renaissance of fighters, and I am so happy for it.
Cool.
Street Fighter had around 3 million. Mortal Kombat 1 about the same, though there was a difference in when they released. In my mind, those numbers should be higher, given that they're multi-platform, crossplay. I would have expected 6 million here. Do you think Tekken does well? Because in my mind, it's the third on the list of popularity of the three. But it sounds like they've pulled out all the stops for this one.
So surprisingly, Tekken is probably the best-selling fighting game. It outsells Street Fighter. It outsells Mortal Kombat, which
Really?
is like
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that, but it is a gem in the fighting world. It's well regarded and loved, and once again, it goes back and it captured the PlayStation crowd at the time, which was at the right time, because that's when you got on board with it. Where Street Fighter was kind of languishing at the time. You had Street Fighter 2, Turbo, Alpha, 3, blah, 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 blah. And then I remember when Street Fighter 4 came out, that felt like the renaissance of Street Fighter was 4. 5 stumbled a little bit because it was only on PlayStation and PC, I think. So, and Mortal Kombat has gone through the ups and downs. With Mortal Kombat 9, I think, was the one that really brought back the renaissance of that series. So yeah, Tekken's kind of been a steady boat with having great modes and being high in the fighting competition. It's been multi-platform forever. I mean, it's been on Xbox. I think there was even a Nintendo DS or 3DS version of Tekken. So they like to be everywhere. So, and there's Tekken characters in Smash Brothers, surprisingly.
Yeah.
I never would have guessed that it was the most popular. Never.
Yeah, there's the numbers are interesting because I wouldn't have either, because I'm biased. But yeah, if you look at it, the Tekken sales, I mean, I don't want to look it up right now to bore everybody, but yeah, I mean, from what I understand, yeah, it was surprising because they were like saying, yeah, because it's a shame that that fighting games aren't better, but I know they're niche because they're not for everybody, because they are imposing, and often if they don't have a great campaign, people I don't want to just get beat up. But Street Fighter, though, that design a character, I made my guy the most horrific looking person in the world, which was fantastic. But the creation mode in Tekken, when I've seen people have made, they can make a Tifa, they can make a Witcher. I mean, it's solid and on point, and I think that's going to be a big thing. And that's without any, costumes or anything like Street Fighter 6, which has struggled because they're charging $15 per turtle. Yeah. Hey, Secret Friends Unite, let me tell you about Zencastr. We use them for our show, and now they're supporting us. Zencastr is now the all-in-one solution making podcasting easy. It's the ultimate web-based podcasting solution. Provides high-quality audio and video podcast production and hosting. With a full suite of professional tools, podcasters can seamlessly record, produce, and publish studio-quality content, all from one dashboard. Being a creator has never been easier. And we chose Zencastr because of the ease of use, high quality output, and it makes it super easy for our guests to come on. We had multiple solutions we tried before, and Zencastr has just been the best fit for us. Why Zencastr? It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sounds and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. Have you ever worried what you sound like? Zencastr's post-production process makes you sound buttery smooth. It automatically removes those ums and ahs in your recording. It removes those awkward pauses in conversation too. Set the right podcast loudness and levels while reducing background noise with the click of a button. So if you're interested in making an easy, high-quality podcast just with the click of a browser button, go to zencastr.com/SFU and use our code SFU. You'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experience I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. Now back to the show. So, well, that's it for gaming. So we do have a topic, but we want to really respect everyone's time. So we're going to wrap up with the bonus round fairly quick, but I think this is a fun topic that could really engage some thoughts, because we're at a kind of a precipice for, I think, a new feeling of where gaming is headed, and that is potentially handhelds and hybrid devices, which, between the Switch and the Steam Deck, we're just seeing a lot of people really excited about that avenue. So with that, there's been stories, and I'm just going to touch upon these quickly, that PlayStation is potentially looking into a Vita 2 or whatever they want to call it, with a chipset and things like that, with it potentially could play PS4 and PS5 games. The ROG Ally 2, which is the successor to the ROG Ally, which is a Windows handheld device, which is available for $400, which plays game's great. It's an 8-inch handheld. It's doing really well, and it's highly adaptable to most Steam games and plays Xbox Game Pass games natively, which is pretty cool. There's even talks about, I believe it's, I'm trying to think of the name. It's it's called the ANEO is looking to do a $300 Windows-based gaming handheld as well. That would not be as capable, but still $300 out the door to play Windows Game Pass games, natively Steam games in a certain mode. There's talks. There's going to be potentially another Steam OS handheld that's going to come out. That's going to use the Steam OS, kind of like Steam Deck, but be a little bit higher on the hardware side. And then, okay, I want to trademark this right now. I'm calling the Switch successor the Switch 2, but it's going to be Espanol to TU, meaning you.
Okay, I see what you've done. I see what you've done.
Nintendo's
kind of like how Wii is 5 in a different language or something.
Wii is yes in French.
Okay, yeah.
It's also yogurt that my company makes. So, and then Switch 2 is apparently going to go back to LCD, but going to go with an 8-inch screen, which would be huge because that's kind of the essential. That's, I think, as big as you can go with something handheld versus gets to be unusable because it becomes like hard. So with that, I mean, the Switch is going to potentially be the most successful console ever as it gets to 130 million. And they've kind of ruled the roost in this format. What do you gentlemen think? Is there a value in handheld that kind of can do good enough gaming with modern games?
You want to go first, Mark?
Oh, go for it.
Absolutely. Yes, this is the future of gaming, I think. And there is a time where your mobile device might pair to a pair of glasses and you can have your controller in your hand and then have glasses to go with it. And that'll
like a Target or a Tiger R-Zone?
You nailed it. That was it. You honestly, again, you got to look back to see forward. It's weird how that happens. But yes, this is absolutely the future. Switch has proved time and again that convenience can override quality. Without a doubt, convenience overrides quality. If you want the best hardware, you're probably looking at Xbox, probably negligible difference here and there. Do you want the DualSense? Do you care about some loading on some ways and other, whatever? That stuff doesn't speak to me, right? Like frames and frame rates. All right, if we're at 61 and 60.5, I don't care. So, convenience over quality is definitely a thing. I think I want to speak to Switch 2 very briefly. Nintendo is too often forgiven for their mistreatment of customers. And I say that like looking at their hardware, their online services, and I know who my audience is when I'm on Secret Friends Unite. I recognize and appreciate
You're talking
that.
to Mark right now. He's like, I can see him like, what are you talking about?
I get it.
Hurting my son's heart.
I love Nintendo, but I'm also very critical. So say what you're going to say.
Well, no, I love Xbox, but here we are, right? I think if they're going to do Switch 2, my hope is their online infrastructure and by definition, that infrastructure would mean their ability to purchase and keep games in a digital library remains intact. Because I put a lot of money into my Switch and I've not touched it in 2 years. I would hate to lose it, but the ability to go back to those games would keep me like if Switch 2 said, hey, you can play your old Switch games, done. Here, log in, there it is, I'm going. That's the benefit of a lot of the ROG Ally and its competitors, that your digital library is there. Huge benefit. And I think Xbox is seeing the future there, and PlayStation seemingly does too. My fear with Vita 2 or whatever it might be is I have seen how PlayStation supports its accessories. They really did not. I thought PSVR 1 was pretty lame, pretty poor tech, but it was an experiment on the back of Vita 2, which was extremely advanced tech, and for all intents and purposes flopped. But I will die on the hill that it was a fantastic system. I loved it. I had the white OLED. God, it was so good. Vita 2 was amazing, but I felt like PlayStation really didn't do right by its customers with PSVR 1. Flash forward, PSVR 2, great technology for the money investment. Where is the first party support? Where are where's the ongoing support of that ecosystem? So I'm hesitant for anything PlayStation does hardware wise. They kick out this PlayStation Portal, which every single person I know that purchased one swears by it.
It's sold out. You can't even find it, which is just crazy. Either they made too little or people just want one.
There's some oddity in how they're reporting numbers, but it doesn't matter. If everybody that's got one that is in my circles is enjoying it, that's suggestive that I would enjoy something similar. So I acknowledge all that, and I just worry about PlayStation's support of it. But this is the future. Cost-effective alternatives to having a big screen are important. I'm not bothered by an LCD versus an OLED, regardless of who makes it. I love an OLED, right? Like, that's beautiful, but an 8-inch screen seems to be fantastic. Your optimal experience will always be on a TV and with fidelity and technology, but the ability to not do that, to be able to be mobile, I loop all back to the end of the day. If your library is there, then convenience trumps quality.
That's why Netflix succeeds, because people will rather watch they'd rather watch like an Oscar-winning movie on their phone than on their great TV with surround sound off a Blu-ray or 4K disc, which is it's just sad, but it's true. Convenience wins. I would say on this lens, because I think one of the reasons Vita's failed was because they had to make unique games for that handheld because they weren't going to make PS3 games that worked on it. Plus that stupid memory card. So I think the only reason this would work is basically they just say we're going to make like dumb like resolution and doesn't have the frame rate of our existing game, so it's like low lift. It's like doesn't work. It's like they don't have to do much effort except saying just dumb it down with the resolution, and if that works, I think that's why Nintendo has succeeded, because they didn't have to worry about like, oh, make that 3DS game work on the Switch. They said all games will be on Switch, and this is your baseline. And I think that's where the ease of use. That's why the Steam Deck's really successful, because it's not the best experience, but I think that's okay with people that are fine and already baked into the Steam infrastructure with probably a good PC or an Xbox, Series X or a PlayStation 5.
Yeah, my brother just got a Steam Deck for Christmas. And
OLED or the regular one?
Regular one. Yeah.
His
girlfriend's brother. His girlfriend's brother got the OLED and just gave my brother his hand-me-down.
Oh, well, he has no FOMO.
It was like, yeah, okay, cool. Here's a free Steam Deck. But it would, and my brother has a huge Steam library, crazy amount of games. And it was really cool to see that just instantly on there. And the two of us were just like, it's a new toy. It's Christmas, right? So like we're both just kind of searching through his library like, oh, this is going to really play well. Oh, I can't wait to see how this goes. And like Luke said, if Nintendo can do that with a Switch 2, I think that's really, really important. And I think that's important for Nintendo as a company, because that's one of the things that we started to see for the Wii U that I think was one of those downfall moments of like, this is a problem or a solution looking for a problem kind of console and all this, other kind of stuff. But like you started to see, Xbox especially pushing this like backwards compatibility thing into their consoles and then really taking their game library forward. And for Nintendo in a next generation to say, no, this is all new stuff. Like all those Switch games, the 130 million Switches sold, we're going to piss off 130 million people by saying, sorry, these games don't work anymore. Like, no. Like, I mean, there's some of us Nintendo people that will probably still buy the next thing, but there's also a lot of people who, especially in this economy,
I have my Switch and I'm okay with it.
Well, and they need to, but they also need to sell their console to buy the next one. You know what I mean? Or like why would I have a Switch 2 if I, and a Switch, like just even for a scale. I don't want to hold on to my Switch. I want to sell that or give it to my son or something like that when the Switch 2 comes out, because I want to free up an HDMI port. I don't want that as another thing taking up a spot on my TV. But I think, as and we'll talk about that later. But as far as the future of handheld, or the future of gaming being hopefully hybrid devices, I love to think that that's a solution. I really do. And I'm someone that I love my Xbox Series X. I got it because it's the most powerful thing on the market, and I don't do PC gaming. So this was like my high-end gaming thing, 4K TV, HDR, let's go, high frame rate. That's where I want my performance. But I go back to my Switch so often, not just because I have a 3-year-old who's obsessed with Mario, but because I can play it while he's watching Paw Patrol. I can take it and I can go off and play Rocket League, and it doesn't look as good as it does on my Series X, but I don't care. I'm still playing Rocket League and I'm still doing something. Or I'm exploring Hyrule, or I'm playing a Pokemon game, or whatever it is. And that kind of technology just increasing. Nintendo's really, really slow, but seeing something like a Steam Deck that can play good games, and that cost to performance is hopefully going to keep coming down. And again, with VR and my experience with Game Pass and streaming, that technology is going to just keep getting better. So we see this with the new PlayStation handheld, and hopefully more of this stuff. I don't know if I would personally buy a streaming only device, but I think one of these things, again, a hybrid that's including streaming, native play, handheld on the go, on TV. You give me a whole mix of everything, that's my go-to every single time, because it's convenient.
Yeah, I think a big part of this too is the emulation audience is huge. I mean, Mark, you and I got the RG35XX. I lost mine in Europe, apparently. I have my other one, which is great for that too. But a lot of these devices, like Steam Deck, is perfect for that too, because it's got so much hardware that can emulate pretty much everything under the sun. I think that's why it's important to think of, with Xbox, Windows has really struggled with the handheld UI for gaming. Steam Deck, I remember when Steam was doing like the big screen mode, and I'm like, why are they doing that? And it was just something to get ready for their handheld experience, which was essentially like as a handheld OS. Windows has struggled with that, and that's something they're working on. So I think, and Luke, I even asked your podcast this question about, maybe they should just partner with an Asus or whatever, who's already doing this stuff. But this is like because Steam did this with like their Steam boxes back in the day. Why don't they partner with a trusted manufacturer who's already in the weeds in this, and say, but we're going to have the best experience because we're going to have our UI layered in here. Maybe it comes with 3 months of Game Pass or something like that. And it's like, wow, that's a win. And it becomes like, because I think Xbox has that like licensed by Xbox. They have the B&O headset. They do. They are now, actually, from what I understand, they're licensing out their Windows is licensing out their mouses and cameras too to other people to market it. So it would make sense that they would just say, like, let's just be partners in this. We're not going to make a device like that. We're not going to do a Surface gaming handheld, because that's not where we want to be. But let's let someone who's got expertise in the space, let's adjust our UI to work with this, because we already have the Xbox UI. We have a Xbox app. Why don't we just focus that to be an overlay within Windows and just be that device? Because not everybody wants to do Excel on their gaming handheld. Let's be honest. And then, quite honestly, then we add a docking element, because you can dock the Steam Deck. You could potentially dock that out to a TV, and maybe that dock allows more power, which would then allow you to do overclocking and get you to be at least maybe a 1080p, maybe even a 1440p experience. Maybe that's good enough. I don't know. I think that your hybrid is really exciting.
Yeah. That's the sweet spot, right? Like, good enough, affordable. Like it right now, we're still in that balance of like, it looks great, but it costs an arm and a leg. It is cheap and affordable, but it runs like a potato. Like there's a middle ground right now, like coming up really quickly, and we see that with like, phones are more and more powerful and whatever. And as those costs come down, and the convenience is just there, like we're approaching a sweet spot of like convenience, good enough, affordable. Like we're right there.
Yeah, and I was that idiot who was watching the NFL playoffs using my GameSir device to remote play Prince of Persia, and had an excellent experience while that was happening. And I was on the couch and my device was there, but I wanted football on the big screen. So I'm one of those people that have found a reason to do it, but I didn't want to pay $200 for a PlayStation Portal because I'm guessing it wouldn't work in my horrible Wi-Fi at my Vegas hotel room. So there you go. And you can't use it on a airplane, all those things that get in the way of a streaming device and having a local service. The only thing I would say, if Nintendo then says, well, NSO, we're going to restart again on Twitch 2, and we're going to start off with, I will just want to track down Doug Bowser and punch him in the face. Sorry, don't say that, Doug. Sorry. No hate.
Understandable.
But please don't do that. Yeah. So with that, any final words with that? Because we know we're going to get some rumors about Xbox games going anywhere. I know that's something we're going to probably get some resolution on. But in regards to this, I would just love a device where I can play. Well, I know I won't get to play Nintendo games everywhere eventually, but if I can play all my games from Xbox, PlayStation, my Steam library on the go or in my chair for like $400, I'm in, along with my high-end console experience as well.
That's it. I think we're too early for a streaming only device.
Yes.
Personally, like I don't like that doesn't appeal to me. So I think it's Xbox games going anywhere, multi-platform, all that kind of stuff. Like I don't know, is Xbox jumping the gun or just making things happen the way they're like, we see like that, whatever. We'll talk about that later on another episode, I'm sure. But like, I do think that's kind of like the future of like being able to like have a Game Pass app, download some stuff natively, pop in like a little Switch cartridge or a download or whatever it is. Like, I think all of that can fit on one device. I don't know if it'll be a Nintendo device necessarily. Like, I don't think they could ever, like Nintendo will ever agree to have an Xbox streaming app in part of their store or whatever. But like that kind of concept is super appealing to me. I like I said, I love that convenience, affordability, good enough graphics, local, online, just everything all in one. Like that's the device that I want.
Imagine if somebody hacks the next Nintendo console to do streaming, and you can do a remote play of Xbox and PlayStation on it. And like, somebody shows it.
Man. So bad.
The Nintendo lawyers will kill them immediately, but that would be amazing. So, Luke, your final thoughts. I don't know you have any handhelds. You're a big Switch fan because of some of the challenges. But, would that be like, hey, I've got a console plus this device? Would that be like the perfect world for you?
I could see a world where that's a thing, but I live 1 minute from my work and I'm not a big traveler. So my lifestyle doesn't ask for that. I do mobile game pretty regularly, like often while podcasting or sitting there. I like to tappy tap. That is something I tend to do. And I enjoy my backbone. Would I spend $300, $400, $500 depending on, like memory equivalents and such? I don't see that happening yet. I would love a world, like, good example of a game that would get me in. If Diablo 4 was available to stream, that's a game I'd want to play on a handheld and just chill. I don't want Diablo Immortals microtransactions, but to play Diablo 4, absolutely. Grind a character, have a good time, low stakes, but I would not be playing Call of Duty, Halo, or Fortnite on it. Well, maybe Fortnite. That can be a bit more casual, but
sure.
I'm not competitively playing something there. I wouldn't want Suicide Squad as my experience, or at least not my opening hours. So it would be a casual device for me, not a serious one. I'm an adult. I don't have kids. I'm not the target audience. I don't travel, Yeah.
Great thoughts. Well, that is it for the show. I think this is a great topic that's going to be evergreen, especially where we're going in the world of gaming. Stay tuned for potentially a new Switch Direct. Hopefully, we're going to have potentially an Xbox event where they talk about their future of their platform, where games are going to go. So watch for that too. Of course, it'll probably come out tomorrow, and we just missed it on our show. But with that, Luke, it's been a pleasure, man. We will have you back on SFU again when there's something you want to come and talk about, because you're a big Star Trek fan, of course, and there's more Star Trek news coming out, but you also love all things nerd, which is great. So we'd love to have you back on SFU anytime. Star Trek. Have you been on, maybe I'm dumb, have you been on Mark's Star Wars podcast yet?
Holocron Chronicle?
Yeah. Have you been on that?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Any interest?
Open invite. Let me know.
Yes, interest, but I will tell you guys, I'm behind. Like, I just finished Ahsoka.
Okay.
Like, I'm not a TV guy, I guess I'm just getting to Gen V from the boy. Like, I'm slower to consume movies and TV than I once was.
Just come in and talk about Star Wars
comics and stuff, man. Charlie and I are talking now about like what to do when there's no like current TV show on. So like, we'll talk. Let's because that's basically we're gonna like pick something. And right now, like we're picking a comic for next week that I haven't read yet. So it's just like get either a subscription, download it, find it, whatever. Read these like couple of issues, and then let's talk about it. So if that's appealing to you, let me know. We'll hook some up.
I'll recommend Spawn. I've been reading a lot of Spawn lately. I'm on the compendium, so that's been interesting.
Okay. Wow, I haven't not read a Spawn comic in a million years, so it's good to hear.
Yeah.
It's interesting to go back and see. It's neat because there's a lot of self evangelizing. I don't know. It's interesting to read, but I enjoy it.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Well, we'll regroup on where we connect, but we love having you as part of the SFU family.
Thank you.
It's been great, and we always can count on you for great insight. And with that, Luke, tell people where they can find you, because you're everywhere and very awesome.
Thank you. Too kind, and I'm honored to be back on. I apologize for the multi-year. It blew my mind. Nonetheless, you can find me on socials at Insipid Ghost. I frequent Threads and Twitter. I prefer Threads, but Twitter is still a necessity in the content creation world. And then, of course, I host the Xbox Expansion Pass, which is a weekly podcast discussing gaming news as it pertains to Xbox. And XCP also specializes in developer interviews from around the gaming industry, both indie through AAA, executive, suite level, veterans in the Xbox gaming space. We really try to run the gambit there, because few and far between is a bar I want to set where I can talk to the best every week. That's not a reality. And also the people that have the small stories to tell can be the most interesting. And so I would really love for anybody to check out the Xbox Expansion Pass, see if it's in your rotation, and investigate our community, because I think we have a pretty welcoming space.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if you're into Sea of Thieves, your co-host, Captain Logan, is fantastic. And the Discord community you have is fantastic. They've been very welcoming, big into video games. And so if you want to find a good Discord space, which is Patreon invite only. So check out Luke's Patreon as well. Join that group. At any level, I believe you get in. So it's, you don't have to be the top level. Yeah.
It is Patreon invite only. And I find that weeds out a lot of those that would bring negativity.
Yes.
And that's why it is that way. Because I really toyed with it. As a content creator, I'm sure you guys have battled this. It's really expensive. Like I've got Canva fees. We've all got those fees.
Oh, yeah.
Canva, Zencaster, et cetera, et cetera. How do you offset? And then it's like, well, also locking out a community may not be healthy either. But I have found that it is so heartwarming every morning. Good morning, everyone. How you doing? If you're enjoying this game, play this game. Rock on. Nobody goes out of their way to diss what other people are enjoying. It's been really neat, and I've learned a lot. I've made a lot of mistakes and learned a lot about it, so it's kind of fun.
And yet Luke invited me in. I'm paid, but he apparently decided, even though you paid, I guess I'll let you in. So thank you for that. Yeah, it's a great group.
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah.
What are you up to, my friend?
You can find me, as far as gaming related stuff, on TikTok and Instagram as Canardian_gamer.
Excellent. And you can follow me for all things Secret Friends Unite, secretfriendsunite.com. Go to our Discord, join us there. We're trying to get more excitement there. And also, I'm on Threads at Toxtra at Secret Friends Unite. with dots in the middle, apparently, and Twitter at Toxtra and at Secret Friends U. We're always looking for new people to bring their geeky voice forward, do interviews, and talk about the things we love. And apparently we found somebody who wants to talk about Madam Web, the movie, with us. So stay tuned for that, because we will have our review, because she's our gal pal, our senior news correspondent. So with that, I want to say thank you, Luke. Thank you, Mark. And remember, folks, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.